And welcome. We have both our Culture Center audience here today, and we have our online audience. And there's the kid right there, so I'll try to remember to look at that once in a while. And today I get to run my own slides. I really am not very good at that, so if you start laughing, I'll know that I've gotten way out of sync here. I'm Jim Richards. Today my job is to promote cybersecurity awareness. That's why we're all here, I hope. If you're not interested in cybersecurity awareness with an emphasis on state systems and data, you're probably in the wrong place. The main thing we ask of you today is to take a break from your smartphones, pick up a few insights, and take the insights back with you to your workplace, home to your families and friends. We know you're already among the more security-savvy people around. We hope you are here to sharpen your thinking about cybersecurity and, frankly, to up your game. Thank you to you here in the audience and to you online for joining us today, taking time out of your busy lives and to commemorate the importance of cybersecurity awareness. Thank you to our guest speakers who have come today to share their thoughts and wisdom with you. Robbie Queen from the Governor's Office, Gail Gibbon, our Chief Technology Officer from the Office of Technology, Kelvin Coleman, who I think is almost here. He's the Director of Government Engagement, responsible for all the coordination of cyber efforts between public sector organizations and the Federal Office of Cybersecurity and Communications. Bernie Hayden, Executive Consultant for Securicon, an Alexandria, Virginia-based company who flew in all the way from the West Coast. And Evan Patterson, our own Charleston Special Agent who puts a very human face on the FBI and helps us in so many ways throughout the year. Thank you to our own team members who work tirelessly on the many moving parts that are involved in putting together events such as this. Especially thanks to Danielle Cox, Nathan Merrick, and Nick Smith. Let's give them a well-deserved hand. And thank you to the Culture Center staff who have helped us get this situation together, and I hope you're all comfortable here. Did I mention October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month? All around the United States, organizations are renewing their focus on the seriousness of the issues we face to protect computer systems and data. Let's kick off the event today with Robbie Queen.
Unless you ask your parents and they did it, it's fine. Before you log on, don't be hasty. Please be smart with all I say. Stop and think before your connection. Use these steps for your protection. All I say is stop, disconnect.
Newsflash, the security zombies are out of game. They're clicking on the stupidest phishing attempts, letting people into secure facilities, leaving their laptops in public places, falling for tricks instead of treats.
Free USB!
Because they can't tell the good guys from the bad guys, and acting brainless about protecting information. Don't be a security zombie. Get smart about protecting information.
Hey, did you buy something from some gaming site?
What do you mean?
Yeah, look, there's a bunch of different charges on here.
Do you think someone stole our credit card information?
I don't know. That site sounds familiar, though.
Yeah, isn't that the site that Billy's on all the time?
You don't think.
Billy!
Stop and think before you connect. Playing online is serious business. Visit dhs.gov/stopthinkconnect for tips on how to be safe online.
Let's kick off the event today with Robbie Queen reading this year's October Awareness Month Cyber Proclamation issued by Governor Obama. Robbie?
Thank you, Jim, and thank you to everyone who's here and everyone who's tuning in online. It is my pleasure to be here today on behalf of Governor Earl Ray Tomlin to present this proclamation. As it reads, Whereas the state of West Virginia recognizes that it has a vital role in identifying, protecting, and responding to cyber threats that may have a significant impact on our individual and collective security and privacy. And whereas critical infrastructure sectors are increasingly reliant on information systems to provide, to support financial services, energy, telecommunications, transportation, utilities, healthcare, and emergency response systems. And whereas the Stop, Think, Connect campaign has been designated as the National Public Awareness Campaign implemented through a coalition of private companies, nonprofits and government organizations, and academic institutions aimed at increasing the understanding of cyber threats and empowering the American public to be safer and more secure online. And whereas the National Institute for Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework and the United States Department of Homeland Security's Critical Infrastructure Cyber Community voluntary program have been developed as free resources to help organizations large and small, public and private, implement the cybersecurity framework and improve their cyber practices through a practical approach to addressing evolving threats and challenges. And whereas, in support of the cybersecurity framework and to better assist business and government entities in addressing cyber threats, the Center for Internet Security, Multi-State ISAC, the Council on Cybersecurity, and the Governor's Homeland Security Advisors Council, and public and private sector entities have developed an effort to promote good cyber hygiene through actionable guidance for government and businesses, and to provide innovation and strengthen cybersecurity investment and enhance resilience across all sectors. And whereas maintaining the security of cyberspace is a shared responsibility in which each of us has a critical role to play, and awareness of computer or security essentials will improve the security of West Virginia information, infrastructure, and economy. And whereas the President of the United States of America, the United States Department of Homeland Security, the CIS Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, and the National Association of State Chief Information Officers, the Council on Cybersecurity, and the National Cybersecurity Alliance have declared October as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. All citizens are encouraged to visit these sites along with the website for West Virginia Office of Technology, Office of Information Security and Controls, and the Stop, Think, Connect campaign to learn about cybersecurity and put that knowledge into practice in their homes, schools, workplaces, and business. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Earl Ray Tomlin, Governor of the great state of West Virginia, do hereby proclaim October 2014 as National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Thank you.
I think that got longer this year. I think that was everything I was going to say, actually. But, thank you, Robbie. We appreciate you coming and reading that for us, and we also appreciate that Governor Tomlin joins with other governors across the country and issues this proclamation each year. Let's set the stage with yet another video featuring Katie Kirk interviewing David Kennedy, a regional superstar in the cybersecurity world that contains an illustration of the all-too-common disconnect between thinking you're secure and actually being secure.
Realize how vulnerable they are?
I don't think they do. I mean, if you look at what we put on our PCs, we have things like antivirus and other things that are trying to protect us, and we think that we're secure. Whereas attackers are coming out with new ways every day of breaking into our computer systems and grabbing the most sensitive data that we have on them. And so right now, no, I don't think they have any idea what's really happening.
And I know that you think this is just the beginning, because as technology advances, the ability to hack into our technology is advancing at breakneck speed as well.
We're moving so fast in technology. I mean, it's becoming ingrained in every life. I mean, the Samsung phone that just came out recently, the implantable devices we're putting on our faces, all of those are just moving so fast that security is coming in from behind, and we really have no clue what the ramifications are really going to be. So it definitely makes it much more challenging to protect ourselves right now.
Well, Stephanie Schmidt is here. She has 2 teenage daughters. She lives in Connecticut. And Stephanie, I understand that you believe your computer is unhackable. Why?
Well, it's something that's really on my mind. I'm very concerned about it. I feel like all of my antivirus software is up to date. I've taken a lot of precautions. I have a computer consultant who comes into my home to check on these things. And so I really feel strongly that we have done everything possible to try and protect myself and my daughters. I mean, it's something that's really worrisome for me.
Well, that's very impressive because you seem like you're extremely ahead of the curve. So we decided to put David to the test to see if your comfort level with your security is actually warranted. Tell us what happened. How did you do when we gave you the challenge of hacking into Stephanie's computer?
So, Stephanie, I would say, was actually one of the top 5% of what I would say is being most secure. Everything up to date, really locked down, all of those good things. And so I literally had opened my computer up, and less than 10 minutes or so had a fully designed website that looked real in every way and shape or form of a website that you would visit every single day. And I sent an email out, and as soon as I sent the email out, it looks very believable in every way. She clicked the link, and then from there, again, less than 10 minutes of setup time and hacking and all that stuff, I had full access to her computer, her webcam, got around all of her antivirus, everything completely.
You are kidding me.
Wow. So tell us
Oh my gosh.
that you were able to see.
Well, the first thing we did is we enabled her.
Oh my God, that's my.
We enabled her webcam, and we were actually able to monitor everything that was going on in her house, everything from her daughter working on her computer to Stephanie actually walking through the house itself. We actually enabled the audio as well, so we could actually hear everything that was going on at the same time, so we could listen to conversations. From there, we started looking at a lot of different areas around her computer. Started scraping everything on her computer so you can see what she's looking at on the internet. Basically everything that we would hold sensitive to ourselves are things that we were able to actually monitor. And one of the things we actually went and grabbed was when she was sitting there viewing her email, or we're monitoring her email addresses. We found her pictures for her Christmas cards for this year. Anything that you do on your computer, attackers can have access to. Full access to everything that you ever do from your phones to your cameras, everything.
That's quite unsettling, especially for the mom. Please take this kind of awareness home with you. Our agenda for this morning is packed. We have an early break about 10 o'clock for those of you who had a few cups of coffee this morning. Let's get back in the room on time so we can finish on time. If you need a break later in the morning, just take one. Let's put our devices on vibrate and exit the room if we need to take a call during the event. It's been an interesting year for cybersecurity observers, if you know what I mean. The headlines have made it hard to forget that there are bad things happening out there every day. A couple of Fridays ago, October 3rd, this was the front page of USA Today. There were some significant breaches this year. You probably heard about the J.P. Morgan chase, $83 million, Home Depot, 56 billion records. I'm sorry, I said records. TJ Maxx, 45.6 million records. Target, 40 million records. Michaels, 3 million. Neiman Marcus, 1 million records. Now, Kmart just last Friday announced a breach. It happened in September, was just now discovered. The Verizon breach study has for several years highlighted the frequency of large gaps in time between breach occurrence and breach detection. This is alarming, but it's the reality of the state-of-the-art of detection for many organizations. I want to share an animation that I saw at an event in Columbus earlier this year. This Amazon Web Service has set up 9 honeypots in various locations around the globe. A honeypot is a server on the web with no real data, but maybe something about it, its name, suggests that it has valuable information. That's why they call it honey. What we're seeing here is an illustration of scans being launched from various countries on the left, obviously, to honeypots that were set up in various locations around the world. Europe, Northern California, Oregon, South America, Singapore, Sydney, Tokyo, US and the East, and again, Northern California. People, sometimes nation-state warriors, are looking for intellectual property. This accounts for multi-billion-dollar losses every year, or looking for something of value that they can access, perhaps steal and sell, or maybe offer back to the owner for a ransom in exchange for not publishing the data in cyberspace wild or selling it to other criminals. What you're seeing is the size of each dot are scans, represented by the size of the dots, as well as the source countries and the destination honeypots. Each dot represents the volume of scan traffic sent in a 5-minute interval. You'll see that China is the primary scanning country, followed by the United States and Iran. Vietnam maintained a distant fourth. Toward the end of the animation at 7 a.m. on July 24th, you'll see a huge scan being launched from Iran to Tokyo, which brings Iran to a solid third place for scanning in July. We can only speculate on why the United States is the second most aggressive scanning source. What we know is that there is a lot of scanning going on every day, every week, all year long, and it's not done to accomplish good things. It showed you about 2/3 of the month. We had a full month, but it was running a little long, and actually could have shortened it probably a little more. But what you're seeing on the side is the actual cumulative scans being sent by China, United States, Vietnam. Now, Vietnam is like a spray. There just seems to be no end to it. Coming up pretty soon on the end of July 24th, getting up here, just kind of amazing. You think something in Tokyo about that, I guess. The probing for a chink in our perimeter is relentless. The risk is very real. We know that things are not going to improve anytime soon. In fact, they say that today we're losing ground to the bad guys. Bad guys are increasingly successful. There's real concern that at this rate, we may never catch up. This ominous outlook has gotten the attention of leadership in both the public and private sectors. More attention is certainly needed, and we all must up our game. So, we're here today to take stock. Since you are here, as I said in the past, you're probably part of the solution. You probably intend to get it. But you are surrounded at home and at work by people who are fuzzy on the dangers. The zombies, as the Media Pro video depicted a few minutes ago. These problematic users will still click on odd links and open uncertain attachments. They may resent the inconvenience of security awareness training and put it off as long as possible. They may even share their passwords. They may let strangers enter a secure building without badging in. They may not display their own ID badge in the workplace. Some still do fall for phishing emails and offer their credentials to the bad guys. 2 weeks ago, we had a phishing email glut hit the state employee mailboxes. And before the team could neutralize this threat, about 35 state employees had clicked on the embedded click here link and visited a page seeking to harvest their logon credentials. Will this kind of reckless behavior never stop? Fortunately, several employees sent the phishing email into us, and the team was able to neutralize the threat by blocking the sender's address, blocking the credentials harvesting website, and getting the passwords reset of the user to click the embedded link. We need your help to spread the word. Clicking on uncertain links is highly dangerous to our security. It may be the single greatest vulnerability we face today. Call it user error, call it zombie behavior. South Carolina calls it a $20+ million problem. I cannot overstress at this point. Suspected phishing emails should be forwarded without delay to ot.phishing@wb.gov. That's ot.phishing@wb.gov. But now, let me tell you about some good things that have been going on while all that bad news has continued to pile up around us. On April 8th, 2014, Microsoft discontinued support for the Windows XP operating system. This came as no surprise. Microsoft announced that date years ago. You'd be amazed at how much work was involved in identifying and upgrading the state's Windows XP machines all over the state's 55 counties. I'm talking about thousands of computers. Some computers were too old to handle the Windows 7 upgrade. They had to be replaced with new equipment. Some applications agencies depend upon would not run on Windows 7. That's not a good thing. The Office of Technology Technical Support Team did a fantastic job of remediating this looming and significant vulnerability. West Virginia was one of the few organizations in the public and private sectors to complete virtually all this remediation by April 8th. Huge kudos go to the intrepid team led by Director Matt Garrett. This was a heroic achievement. This year, our team, in an initiative driven by Nathan Merritt, has been scanning all endpoints, all workstations in the state environment to check for known vulnerabilities. Things like outdated Windows patches, outdated versions of Java and Adobe software. Well over 100 scans have been launched and 16,600 different types of vulnerabilities were found, and many have been remediated as a result of this effort. This is a huge step in the right direction. As of August, our team, in an initiative driven by Daniel Cox, successfully deployed awareness training to over 90% of our state employees. Again this year, meeting the goal for set for training. We'd like that number to be 100%, but with the churn in employees coming and going, that makes 100% literally impossible. Next year, we will be releasing new training that we're developing with MediaPro, a premier online training developer that also happens to be a very affordable alternative to the training we've been providing. We expect to save approximately $18,000 by undertaking this initiative, while providing refreshing change of pace to state employees. Thanks to the whole team, passionately led by Jim Weathersby, for this exciting training refresh. On August 13th, West Virginia's Board of Risk and Insurance Management locked in cyber insurance coverage that would help West Virginia in the event of a significant cyber breach. West Virginia is among the very few first states to obtain this type of coverage. But just like your car insurance policy, we really don't want to use this cybersecurity coverage. The premiums are high enough already. The premiums are, the risk is real, and insurance company prices reflect this high risk. Insurance is a safety net, not a substitute of any sort for the best practices we need to follow every day. Congratulations and thank you to Brim for this proactive risk management initiative. Back in March, a Wood County man was convicted as a second-time offender for possession of child pornography. He was arrested in a public library, in a place where children can often be found, based on information spotted, analyzed, correlated, and provided by our Security Operations Center team members, Leroy Amos and Mark Sizer, to law enforcement. Leroy and Mark received Department of Justice awards for their actions in this case, and were recognized at an awards luncheon in Glade Springs on September 16th. Kudos to Leroy and Mark for their diligence. Talk about Leroy Amos. He spends a lot of time these days at the West Virginia Fusion Center. And if you haven't heard about the Fusion Center, it's a location where law enforcement practitioners from all of the major agencies have representatives for the purpose of collaboration. Leroy is our man in this mix, and the evolving relationship with the Fusion Center has been a big win-win this year. Speaking of the Security Operations Center, led by Cliff Nance, two other members deserve recognition for their significant contributions to our program. Chris Davis and our newest member from Marshall, Finley Hammond, who interned with us for several times for 3 years before coming to the side. What a solid team we do have. Thank you all for your expertise and great work. There certainly is a lot happening in our world, in our work that is positive and meaningful, and every accomplishment gives us more motivation to continue to get better at what we do. We do have a theme for today's event. In the past year, we tried to help you think of yourselves as human firewalls. We still want you to do that. In another year, we asked you to view yourself as a risk manager. We still want you to do that. This year, you may have noticed the fortune cookies in the lobby that Danielle found online. Thank you, Danielle. These fortune cookies actually have security tips written on the paper inside. So this year, we simply want to offer to you the thought that your cybersecurity fortune is actually in your hands. I'm not saying we don't have a lot of necessary controls in place to protect systems and data. We do. With any luck and availability of resources, we will continue to improve and broaden our control posture. There are definitely things in the pipeline that we may be talking to you about a year from now. But people are still our weakest link, and we need everyone to take the metaphorical wheel of their cybersecurity fortune and steer it in a positive direction. We know that our protection and threat resistance is far from perfect. Our adversaries, the bad guys, the malicious actors, only have to find one chink in the armor. The adversary only has to find one careless individual who clicks that link in that phishing email from that criminal, goes to that site, falls for that request to log on using domain credentials. Game over. The Ponemon Institute tells us that we in the public sector stand a 24% chance of having a breach of over 10,000 records in the next 2 years. We at the public sector lead the pack on this chart. I'm no statistician, but if I'm correct, that becomes almost a 100% chance in years that we could feel that pain. Can we count on someone else to keep us safe? I don't think so. We are each an army of one in the cybersecurity defense accountability scheme of things. That means you are as important as anyone in the safekeeping of the systems you use. With that, it's time for me to step away from the podium and allow our important guest speakers to share their thoughts with you. This time I'd like to ask Gail Gibbon to come up and briefly share her perspective on the cybersecurity challenge. Gail?
Good morning. Wanted to add my thanks to Jim's for all of you who have come out today, and especially our speakers. I had to note the Katie Couric piece we had earlier on there a few months ago. My mother, who's 81, had a virus, and when I went to check that out, the virus that it completely locked up her computer. The only thing that was on it was a picture of her living room. And she's 81, so somebody has taken a picture of her living room. Very, very unsettling. I was able to clear the virus, and I disabled her camera. So I have re-enabled it now so she can Skype with some of her great-grandchildren, but we're very, very careful, and I told her that despite how much she wants to watch tennis, she can't watch that Russian channel anymore that she was getting all of her tennis from. So we have shut that one down. So the past 12 months, perhaps more than any other time, has brought the issue of cybersecurity front and center to the typical consumer. As you saw from one of the slides, in that period, there were, among others, breaches at Target, Home Depot, Kmart, eBay, Michaels, and Dairy Queen. Luckily, I have never paid for a hot fudge sundae with extra hot fudge with a credit card, but Home Depot got me. So I now have new credit cards, and I'm just waiting to see which one of my creditors with an automatic withdrawal I forgot to change. So if the lights go off at the given house, you'll know that it could have been that. The National Association of State Chief Information Officers, to which I belong, kicked off Cybersecurity Awareness Month at a recent meeting. A number of national speakers were there to share their perspectives on the issues. One thing I took away from the conversation was a description of the 4 types of security breaches. 1, the ones that are prevented, by far the most, and you don't hear about any of those. 2, the ones that are detected and stopped before they do any real damage. And there are a number of those, but you don't hear about those either. 3, the ones that wreak havoc. Small percentage when compared to all of the attempts that you saw on Jim's chart a minute ago. But these are the ones that create headaches, hassles, and headlines. And then there are the fourth type, which are the ones that are going on right now. We know nothing about them, and we may never know anything about them. And how many of those are there? Hard to know. So I thought I would also have a little video here. This is one from my childhood.
This is Billy. Billy is a polite young man who always says please and thank you, studies hard, and treats others with respect. On the sports field and in the home, Billy understands the importance of doing the right thing. But Billy forgot something. He forgot to update the security software, OS, and web browser on his laptop, compromising his computer and making himself vulnerable to cyber criminals. That's not giving it the old college try, Billy. Now, consider the case of Jenny. Jenny loves the internet. She regularly broadcasts the minutiae of her daily life, and she shares detailed personal data about herself and her friends. And she doesn't hesitate to add anyone who tries to friend her. Do you think that makes Jenny popular?
Nothing like being Miss Popularity. Yeah.
And then there's Betty. Betty is an up-and-comer at a big downtown business firm. You can see by the orderly arrangement of her desk and her neat appearance that Betty is a hard worker who enjoys her job. What a shame, then, that Betty's attention to detail doesn't extend to safeguarding her company's corporate data. Last week, Betty opened a strange email. Now a remote access spam bot has targeted her company's servers with a denial of service attack. That'll cost the company millions. It's out on the street for you, Betty. What do Billy, Jenny, and Betty need to learn about using the internet securely and safely? Why, it's a simple question of thoughtfulness.
Why should I worry about being thoughtful? What'll it get me? In this world, it's every man for himself.
Consider this. It only takes one lapse of security to grant hackers access to a network full of sensitive information. Maybe it's the private records of everyone at your school. Maybe it's a company's intellectual property. It could even be a matter of national security.
Everybody tells me to be more thoughtful. Well, I'd like to be more thoughtful. If I only knew what it meant.
Good question. Here are some simple things you can do to be a more thoughtful and safe digital citizen. So don't be a Billy, a Jenny, or a Betty. Follow these simple steps to ensure your online safety and the security of us all.
You can almost smell the mimeograph ink, can't you? Those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'll meet you later. So we need to continue to do anything we can to prevent these breaches. To that end, my organization teams with other state and federal entities to share information to make all our teams stronger. We appreciate the support and cooperation we get from the Fusion Center, where there's representation from local, state, and federal law enforcement, public safety agencies, and the private sector. With their help, my security operations team has not only helped stop breaches, but as Jim mentioned, has also helped successfully prosecute online criminals. As Jim mentioned, also another new development is our cybersecurity insurance. This only protects the agencies that are supported by the West Virginia Office of Technology because of the processes and procedures that we have in place. We're hoping now to expand that to other agencies, but for now, it's our supportive agencies that are covered, and we're very proud of that initiative. I hope you find today's speakers informative. You take this information, take it back to your office, to your home, and put it to good use. Please enjoy the session, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Gail. Gail brings a wonderful sense of humor to the Office of Technology, and you can probably gather that from the video.